The universe has a cruel sense of humor. I drove 6 hours into the mountains to escape the chaos of my life, only to find the very chaos I was running from standing on the porch next door with the same crooked smile that once destroyed me. "Hey," he said, as if 3 years of silence could be erased with a single word. I froze, my duffel bag sliding from my hand, thumping against the wooden porch. My heart felt like it had been ripped open all over again. Mason. My first love. My worst heartbreak. And no apparently new neighbor for the next 2 weeks. The cabins were spaced far apart, tucked into the pine-covered hills of North Carolina. I had imagined solitude, mornings with steaming coffee, afternoons hiking, nights staring at the fire, a place where the ghosts of the past couldn't touch me. But here he was, like a ghost made flesh, leaning against the railing of the cabin next door, wearing that damn hoodie I once fell asleep in more times than I could count. "What the hell are you doing here?" My voice cracked, betraying the storm rising inside me. He pushed his hands into his pockets, his blonde hair catching the last orange light of dusk. "I rented this cabin weeks ago. Didn't know you'd be here." I laughed bitterly. "Of course you didn't." The wind stirred, carrying the scent of pine and smoke from someone's distant fire. I wanted to turn around, slam my cabin door, and drown out the past with the sound of crickets. But Mason's presence pinned me to the earth. His gaze hadn't shifted, steady and heavy with something I couldn't yet read: guilt. Maybe. Or something worse, longing. "You look good," he said softly. "Don't." I snapped, heat rushing to my face. "Don't start with that." The memory of our last night together clawed its way back, shouting in the rain. Slammed doors, a shattered picture frame on the floor. He left, and I swore I would never let him back in. Yet standing here, in the golden glow of sunset, I hated how badly part of me still wanted to touch him, to bridge the silence. "All right," Mason muttered, lowering his eyes. "I'll give you space." Didn't mean to, but he didn't finish, because we both knew that space wasn't something the mountains could give. Not when 2 cabins stood side by side. Not when fate had shoved us into the same patch of wilderness. I grabbed my bag and stormed inside my cabin, slamming the door. But in the suffocating quiet, his voice still echoed. "You look good." That night, couldn't sleep. The creak of floorboards next door, the faint hum of his music, every sound reminded me he was right there, a heartbeat away. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, remembering how he used to breathe in his sleep, how he would reach for me without realizing it. Damn him. By morning, I had almost convinced myself to pack up and drive back to the city. But when I opened the door with my mug of coffee in hand, I saw him on his porch, sipping from his own. He raised his cup toward me in a silent toast. My stomach twisted. "Morning," he called. I should have ignored him. I should have walked back inside. Instead, I found myself stepping onto my porch, the cold wood biting into my bare feet. "Morning." For a while, we stood there, separated by 10 feet and 3 years of silence. The forest was alive with birdsong, sunlight spilling over the ridges. It would have been beautiful, if not for the ache in my chest. "You staying long?" he asked. 2 weeks, I said flatly. His eyebrows rose. "Same here." "Of course." I groaned and rubbed my face. "You've got to be kidding me." "I swear, I didn't plan this," Mason said, half laughing, half desperate. "But maybe it's not the worst thing." I shot him a glare sharp enough to cut glass. "Don't push your luck." Still, he smiled faintly. That old smile. The one that used to undo me in seconds. And I hated myself for feeling my defenses slip. Even just an inch. By the third day, avoiding him became impossible. The hiking trail curved too close. The lake shimmered just beyond both our cabins. And every evening, the sky painted colors too beautiful to watch alone. I caught him stealing glances at me more than once. Worse, I caught myself doing the same. That afternoon, I sat on the dock by the lake, letting the water cool my bare feet. I thought I was alone. But then the boards creaked, and Mason sat down beside me. Close. Too close. You still come out here barefoot, he said quietly. I stiffened. Old habits. He nodded. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Just the soft slap of water against wood. The distant call of a bird. Then he whispered, "I'm sorry." The words cracked something in me. "You don't get to say that now," I said, my voice shaking. "Not after everything." He turned toward me, his eyes raw, vulnerable. "I know I hurt you. I know I ruined us. But I never stopped." He cut himself off, swallowing hard. I stared at the reflection of the sky on the lake, afraid to look at him. Afraid of what I might feel if I did. Mason's apology had hung in the air between us for days, like smoke that wouldn't clear. He didn't repeat it, didn't push, but I felt it in everything he did. The way he offered me coffee when he brewed too much. The way he left wood stacked neatly on my porch. The way he kept glancing at me as though afraid I'd vanish if he looked away. And maybe that's what broke me. Not the words, but the small, wordless things. One evening, the rain rolled in heavy, drumming on the cabins, spilling from the roof. Thunder rumbled low, echoing off the mountains. I sat by the fire, trying to read, when there was a knock. I opened the door to find Mason soaked, rain dripping from his hair, hoodie plastered to his body. He looked almost ridiculous, like the boy I once loved who never remembered an umbrella. "Power's out at my place," he said, breathless. "Mind if I should have said no. Should have closed the door and let the storm drown his voice. But instead, I stepped aside. He crossed into my cabin, bringing with him the smell of rain and pine. His presence filled the room in a way that made my heart ache. I tossed him a towel. "You'll ruin the couch if you sit like that." He smiled faintly, catching the towel. "Still bossy. And you're still a mess." Our eyes met. For the first time in years. It didn't feel like a knife twisting, it felt like home. And I hated how much I wanted to let it. Hours passed. The fire crackled, shadows dancing along the log walls. Mason sat on the rug, leaning back against the couch, close enough that his shoulder brushed my knee. We didn't talk much, just sat, listening to the storm outside. Finally, he spoke. "I never stopped loving you." My breath caught. The words I had once begged to hear now sat heavy in the air. "Dangerous. Too late. Don't." I whispered. "I mean it." He pressed, turning toward me. His face was raw in the firelight, stripped of every shield. I was scared. I was stupid. I ran because I thought I'd ruin you. But these 3 years, nothing has made sense without you. The storm outside seemed to fade beneath the storm inside me. I wanted to scream at him, to demand why he'd waited until now. I wanted to slam every door between us all over again. But beneath it all, I wanted God. I wanted to believe him. "You broke me," I said, my voice trembling. "You left me with nothing but pieces. And I've been carrying those same pieces," he said, "every damn day." Silence swallowed us. The fire popped. Sparks leaping. My chest burned. And before I could stop myself, I whispered, "Then show me." His eyes widened. Slowly, carefully, he reached up, his fingers brushing my cheek. My skin flinched at first, then melted into the warmth of his hand. He leaned closer, hesitating just enough for me to pull away. But I didn't. Our lips met, tentative, aching, like two people finding each other after wandering too long in the dark. And in that moment, the years fell away. The storm passed, but Mason stayed. One night turned into two, into a rhythm I didn't dare call anything more. He cooked breakfast while I made coffee. We hiked the trails together, sometimes in silence, sometimes laughing the way we once did, as if nothing had broken. At night, he'd fall asleep beside me on the couch, his head against my shoulder, and I let myself forget the rest of the world. But healing isn't simple. Some mornings, I woke with panic clawing at my chest, the memory of our past shouting that this was dangerous, that love like ours was a trap. Mason never pressed. He simply stayed. And maybe that was the apology I had needed all along, not words, but presence. On our last night in the mountains, the snow came, fell quietly, softening the world outside. We sat by the fire, our hands entwined on the couch, and I finally spoke what I had buried. "I don't know if I can forget," I said, "but I want to try." Mason's grip tightened, his eyes shining in the firelight. "That's all I'm asking for. A chance to try again." I leaned against him, listening to the steady beat of his heart. The storm in me finally quieted. For the first time in years, I felt not broken, but whole. Outside, the snow kept falling, wrapping the cabins, the forest, the mountains in silence. And inside, I let myself believe in something I had sworn I never would again. A second chance. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.